another reason why I don't want to listen to it is because it's AI. Like you just decided to write a prompt and now this is what you want to give us. Nah, bro.
Simply down to that. It's a simple cliche formula followed by a machine and then has Tyga's name slapped on top of it, except
Why? Why?
Welcome.
Quick ad break. Welcome to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, subscribe, hit the notification bell and like the video. Drop a comment with your thoughts on what you'd like to see next, and don't forget to follow me on my socials. I really appreciate the support. Now let's get back to the video.
Okay, let me watch this. Okay, Tyga drop an album, Starface. So FANTANO says it's not music. But okay, let's watch this one. Haven't listened to it. I don't know why. But okay, let's watch.
yeah, hi everyone. This new Tyga Starface album, it's not music. Yeah, here we have a brand new record from rapper, songwriter Tyga, a guy who across hip-hop's mainstream cultural crest in the 2010s was buoyed by some really massive hits, but simultaneously over the course of his career failed to really forge anything that you could even say was even close to like a classic album. And while Tyga is not completely forgotten in the modern hip-hop meta, that's for sure, things over the past 10 plus years have shifted within rap so radically from an aesthetic standpoint, from a musical standpoint. It's hard to imagine a place right now where a Tyga type of rapper could really succeed and thrive and grow their audience commercially, which again, I think is the reason why we haven't seen him going viral in recent years like we have in the past. I mean, if Tyga had to start today, I don't know if a song like Rack City would really take off. So from a commercial standpoint, I personally, as a critic, am not surprised to find, and certainly don't begrudge Tyga, the feeling or the itching, burning desire to maybe switch things up and try something new, because no matter what genre you operate in order to stay on top in the music industry, especially long term, eventually you've got to switch it up. You've got to evolve. You've got to change with the times. And maybe
Facts. True. You really need to move around, learn new things, evolve, bro. Even if you're trying to get into another space, you just need to learn the space and try to get better. You know, be more, bro. I don't know how I can put better, but just try to like evolve in the space, even if you're new, bro.
Maybe on some level, Tyga has been struggling with that answer as to what to do next. But I think recently he discovered exactly what he wants to do. The solution, as it were, came in the
Okay, so Doja Cat said, Starface is AI. Okay,
form, I think, I presume, of a song that not only has been going viral on the internet, but actually climbing the charts in recent weeks too. That would be the new Phoenix Flexin track, Rubbers. A very odd song from this West Coast artist who at one
there's
point was most
another song that he later admitted that he used AI. I don't know. At first, maybe he said he didn't use AI. I'm not sure, but hey,
known for his involvement with the rap group Shoreline Mafia. But with this solo track, Phoenix was doing nothing of the sort in terms of, that group's typical style, which is typically this very kind of anxious and tense take on trap music, hyphy, and gangster rap. But no, Phoenix Flexin's Rubbers actually embraces a little bit more of a mystical, dazzling 80s synth pop sound, which obviously took a lot of longtime fans and now a lot of new listeners as well by complete surprise. Because again, this is not his usual thing. So, of course, some skeptics started coming around wondering what exactly was the source of this sonic shift, especially given the vocals on the track sound almost nothing like any vocal Phoenix has laid onto any song previously. Now, of course,
what? What?
Very quickly, allegations of this song being AI generated began to crop up. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, from Phoenix and his collaborators, we saw denial after denial, explanation after explanation as to why the AI allegations were false. But after more allegations, more digging, and even some exposure, eventually Phoenix did come around and admit AI was.
Imagine, like, after some digging, you just open up, like, okay, I used AI for this song, bro. But Roberts is nice. I don't like AI music, but I
Actually used in the process of generating rubbers. And given the lack of transparency we have seen about that up until now, it's probably more AI than even now he is letting on. But while Phoenix was struggling, trying to figure out his next move and how exactly he was going to spin this whole AI thing, clearly Tyga was silently plotting behind the scenes, figuring out how he could, one, also put out some AI music that would climb the charts, and two, maybe base a whole album cycle around it too, which he very clearly has. Now, since the release of this record, it has come out that Tyga did actually use AI in the creative process, but even
and I think he's the first one to reveal this, that they actually used AI in some of the parts.
he was not completely honest with this fact out of the gate with this Starface record. And while we don't have full details on that yet, personally, I'm inclined to believe that it's probably more than he's willing to let on, just like Phoenix. In fact, there are elements of the 10 tracks on this album that lead me to believe that they are entirely, wholly AI generated, which I
Wait, no, you just thought everything is just AI, bro. What? Okay. FANTANO.
will get into, but first, let me say this. Presuming charitably that this album was only 25% AI generated, and quantify that however you want, the fact still remains that this record serves as an example of the most disgusting and annoying and cynical use case for this technology, insofar as using it to just generate music and upload.
Actually, I don't know how I can take AI, bro. AI music. I don't know. 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 Okay, we use AI everything, but AI music is something else, but that's another topic, bro.
It to the internet. Because here you have an artist who clearly is at a complete loss as to what to do in terms of the next step of his career. And so what does he do? He just looks
What it take, bro? What it take? Damn.
at the charts and picks the one thing that stands out in terms of a new direction or trend or sound that's grabbing some people's ears, and then heads to what is essentially a musical Xerox and just pumps out 10 random low grade, low effort songs and just plops it onto streaming. Like literally the act of treating music purely like a commodity, purely like a product, a
But how do you view this? Okay, what do you think? Is using AI as a tool to make music a bad thing or what? Like, is it bad? I don't know, bro. Sometimes it's hard for me to share my opinion in these, bro.
commercial product like a consumable, flavorless industrial goop that you just package and put on the store shelf for a super cheap price so as many people buy it as possible.
Damn. What?
This album is the reduction of the artistic, of the creative process.
I think because it takes months, bro, to make something, a full body of work, to give it all yourself, like to give it a soul, I can say. Then all of a sudden now we just give you something. Like you just decided to write a prompt and now this is what you want to give us. Nah, bro. Times AI music, bro.
Simply down to that. It's a simple, cliche formula followed by a machine and then has Tyga's name slapped on top of it, except
Why? Why, Vele? AI. You type everything. Prompt gives you whatever you want. Next thing you put a name on it. What?
Except not really, because in order to justify this genre shift, Tyga came up with this whole different persona, this Starface persona, not only in order to sell people on this musical change here, but also, I think, to give himself personally a bit of a degree of separation, because really, truly, how much of him is actually going into this project? Let's get into the sound and direction of this album, though. Look, this is essentially the record that you would be handed if you went into any generative music platform and typed in the term 80s with a bunch of other tags and just repeated that process over and over and over and over. Because as somebody who actually loves and is passionate about a lot of 80s music, there's no real one direction or sound or style or influence that is kind of like a continuous thread through all of these songs. This is a record that would only feel consistent and would only feel thematic to you if you were looking at the 80s from a bird's eye.
Actually, I haven't listened to Starface. Not even one song or maybe snippet. But listening to this, okay, I understand, bro.
View, maybe even from a lack of experience, like you didn't live through any segment of 80s
Another reason why I don't want to listen to it is because it's AI. Why? 25%? Really?
music at all. So to you, yeah, maybe at a distance, contemporary R&B and synth funk and synth pop and new jack swing and new wave and freestyle, maybe all of these genres sound the same to you, because again, these were all sounds and styles that were prevalent throughout the 1980s, and if you lived during that time, all of these genres were very distinct movements that were super separate, for the most part separate, and had very distinct pioneers and artists that were at the forefronts of these movements. And through Tyga releasing this album that is just this complete mishmash of ill-defined 80s slop, it sort of creates this closed loop where the reference points are kind of scuffed, and you're not actually doing this out of celebration or out of adoration for the artists who created these sounds and styles in the first place. Instead, what you end up getting,
it's like disrespecting the craft, bro. Like disrespecting maybe the pioneer, or maybe disrespecting the person who started this thing, like back then, and now we just and make it out of disrespect.
is a series of tracks that have no consistency, no vision, no direction, and just sound like watered down versions of the most popular, most accessible things that sort of represent that era musically. So you have songs on this thing that sound like a much worse version of like a Prince hit or two. Almost like you took Steve Lacy and at gunpoint forced him to record 3, 4, 5 Prince ripoffs in the studio. You've got tracks on this thing where the synths and bass lines feel like a blatant Rick James ripoff. And if you're at all familiar with 80s hits, or especially like novelty 80s hits, you know how weird and corny anomalies like Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time are. And yet so much of the material on this album feels like an even weaker version of that. Not to mention, on at least several songs here, I'm kind of getting big Rockwell, Somebody's Watching Me vibes too. It feels like whatever AI Tyga used to generate the production on this record was just trained on a sampler of like the biggest 80s hits, and that's it. So like, not only is the vagueness, the lack of specificity in terms of how this record approaches 80s vibes kind of a tell in terms of it being AI, but also consistently across this record, you have these like kind of scratchy, scuffed vocals where it sounds like on song after song, the highs have been like kind of rolled off, like the treble is super low and the vocals are a little muddy, which is an effect I imagine kind of comes by way of these programs being trained on so much older music where the production and recordings aren't so clear, and there is kind of a vintage scratchiness and dustiness to the way some of the instrumentation, especially the vocal sound, but then to hear that carry over onto these modern iterations of these styles through these generated pieces of music, it just feels very out of place, anachronistic. Not only that, but there are like some very weird, off-putting production choices that just don't really make sense. Like basic engineering shit that just would not come up on an album like this for a few reasons. One being that any producer or engineer who can genuinely recreate these kind of vintage 80s vibes and sounds with the accuracy that they are shown with here, that would have to be a pretty talented, knowledgeable, veteran producer with
Yeah, I
quite a
think,
bit of experience and a good ear. Someone who probably wouldn't put out 3, 4, 5 busted ass vocal mixes or do song after song where random drum hits and fills are like 2, 3 times louder than almost anything else going on in the mix. Not only that, but another tell that I would say kind of gives this album's AI generation away is, of course, the vocals. There are numerous hooks and tracks on this thing where Tyga's vocal phrasing, for somebody who is like a studied and an accomplished pop rapper who literally raps, writes, and flows purely for catchiness and accessibility, is putting out vocal line after vocal line on this record that is just painfully awkward, like leaning into certain syllables or leaving certain gaps
bro, I really want to listen to it, but I just don't like AI music, bro.
in a line unfilled rhythmically in a way that I feel like an accomplished, successful pop rapper just wouldn't, or even a singer who saw any level of commercial success. Like his phrasing and the way that many of his words have this sort of staccato feel, like they're a little cut off, just feels very, I mean, for lack of a better term, robotic. It just feels like a robot version
Bro, his takes.
of Tyga singing and talk singing on most of these tracks, all of these tracks. Then the other thing is just how mind-numbingly repetitive lyrically a lot of these songs are, and it does not come off like, you know, a genuine human infatuation. More like, again, a robot that has been given very few shreds of information to go off of, which is why there are so many moments that are making reference to getting broken up with and counting money, counting money, counting money, counting money until your thumbs hurt. It's to the point sometimes where I have to check the track list just to make sure I'm not listening to the same song all over again. The only real sense of variation for me personally is how bad some of the mixing is. And look, while I will
Bro, mixing has gone bad. Like now you don't even know which you don't even know either you're listening to the previous song or what. Bro, bad mixing, bro. I had bad mixing, bro.
admit there are some choruses and there are some baseline musical elements on these tracks that are like at least accessible or kind of catchy, or I can kind of squint and see possibly in my mind's eye a catchier, more enjoyable version of what is being presented here in actuality. The fact is, even when these songs are at their most enjoyable, there's a very stiff, awkward, weird, off-putting, almost uncanny quality about them that sort of just makes my skin crawl and makes me wish I was kind of like, you know, listening to all of the obvious reference points and inspirations. And that, I think, is the most sad, pitiful, and unfortunate reality of this situation, that there will be some people who listen to this, genuinely think it's great, and have no clue, no idea, no experience of any of the 80s artists that it's ripping off. Or hell, even the modern artists who are still like carrying the torch for sounds like this. Guys like Dame Funk, for example, who, if Tyga or any number of artists wanted to randomly make like a synth funk record, something along those lines, I mean, give that guy a call. That guy will cook you up some amazing production in that style. If as an artist that's truly
Yeah, bro. Maybe get someone who really carves this thing instead of using AI, bro.
the sound that you want to chase, the direction that you want to go in, call someone up, reach out, find somebody, collaborate, make a friend, enjoy music as the communal experience and the cultural exchange that it's supposed to be, instead of having an AI platform fart out some crap. Because again, I'm sorry, if you know or you enjoy or are passionate about anything in terms of like 80s music, and it feels like there is at least like a hunger for that in this day and age, with the resurgence of Michael Jackson's music, with artists like The Weeknd currently thriving off of all of these 80s vibes on his recent records. Even before Rubbers, there has been an established resurgence for this kind of vibe, this kind of sound. If it's something that you really want to do, go for it in a way that's true and
Mm,
authentic and unique to you as an artist, instead of
exactly.
doing lame shit like this, where even in this record's promotion, Tyga can't help but make it clear that he knows absolutely fucking nothing about this era and all the musical styles that he's pulling from. Because, again, to sort of bring it back to the Starface persona, like it's clearly built off of Scarface.
Yeah, I understand, bro. Like, okay, even if you want to be authentic, you just don't have to use AI, bro. If you really want to do this thing, respect it, do it, learn about it, and shoot, bro. Because nah, using AI to make music, okay, maybe it is a tool, you know, just people try to be innovative, try to be try to be innovative, do something different, but you just have to learn about the things, bro. You cannot wake up one day and just make, okay, I'm going to make rock music, but you just a rapper, you don't even know about rock music, you don't even know one person, or you've never listened to rock music, bro. Just learn about this thing, learn about this thing, then after you can do something, work with the best people like in that field, get those good people that can actually do it, and just do something great instead of using this tool. Okay, you can use this tool as inspiration, but you cannot take its focus and put it out there and make it yours. It's as if like you actually did that. Where's integrity, bro? Nah.
Space, because for Tyga, his personal reference point for these genres of music has more to do with like an old gangster movie than it does the music scenes from decades ago that they actually fucking came out of. Tyga wants people to draw the same sort of cultural connections to these sounds that he does. It has nothing to do with, New York, it has nothing to do with California, it has nothing to do with Minneapolis, and has everything to do with like, dudes who were wearing fancy suits and doing cocaine in Miami in the 80s. Fuck you. So again, to close this video out, I just want to repeat, what grosses me out most about this record is that it's just very lazy, it's very cynical, it's very opportunistic, and it highlights to us the exact kind of artist who is going to
Bro, if you want to be experimental, be experimental. Experiment other sound. Excuse me. Experiment other sounds. But you don't disrespect the craft, bro. Don't disrespect the sounds that people work so hard to make, worked so hard to put it out there and make it like sound this way. Bro, please.
thrive most due to this technology. A boring, uncreative hack with no inspiration, no work ethic, no passion, no drive, no ideas of his own, who would rather just use a machine to steal ideas from other artists instead of daring to find a way to genuinely express himself and make music that's worth listening to. Which is why this Tyga project here is not music.
It's not music. It's not music. Then what is it, bro? That what is it, bro? I really want to try this out, but I don't like AI music. I don't have that interest. AI music is not. We've been making music way back with no AI. Why using it now? Why? Why? Nah, nah.